There's an absolute connection between Donald Trump, his very fine people from Charlottesville, and this murderous thug, white nationalist in New Zealand who just killed all these people. Check it out. Leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe. More people will die, says John Berman on CNN. Thank God somebody's speaking out. This guy who just murdered 49 people in New Zealand says that Donald Trump is, quote, a symbol of renewed white identity and common purpose. He's a Trump fan in New Zealand. And he's not the only Trump fan who's doing this. As, they do this meme, this graphic every day over at Democratic Underground, and the one today is really, Alexander Bissonnette, pro-Trump extremist, shot and killed 6 at the Islamic Cultural Center in Quebec City, Canada, in January of 2017. Explicitly pro-Trump. Every one of these people explicitly pro-Trump. Nicholas Cruz, pro-Trump extremist, shot and killed 37 people at a high school in Parkland, Florida in February 2018. Brenton Tarrant, a pro-Trump extremist, shot and killed 49 at a mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand. That would be right now, today. James Alex Fields Jr., pro-Trump extremist, rammed his car into a crowd of anti-Nazi protesters in Virginia, killing 1. Cesar Sayoc, a pro-Trump extremist, attempted to kill numerous prominent Democrats by mailing pipe bombs last October. And then yesterday, I believe it was, maybe the day before, Donald Trump says, I have the support of the police, the support of the military, the support of bikers for Trump. I have the tough people. But they don't play it tough until they get to a certain point, and then it would be very, very bad. Well, this guy thought he was being shouted out to, not just by Trump, obviously, but, this whole international white supremacy movement. And this is mind-boggling. At the same time that Michael Cohen is saying if Donald Trump loses in 2020, there's not going to be a peaceful transition of power. And Donald Trump is sowing the ground right now by talking about, election fraud and voter fraud all the time. Like, oh, look out, I might actually win, but they'll tell you that I didn't, essentially is what he's saying, which is how he would justify staying in office. And meanwhile, this new report out from the FBI that right-wing white supremacist terrorists in the United States have killed more people than any other group, including so-called Muslim terrorists. By the way, it's Anything Goes Friday. Whatever you want to talk about, but close it? Okay. But I see this as like the biggest issue. I mean, this is just absolutely huge. And I'm kind of at a loss for what do we do about this, or what do we do with this? I mean, here we have a white supremacist president, a largely white supremacist Republican political party. I mean, just, look at the photographs of of all the Democrats in Congress versus all the Republicans in Congress. There's a theme there. The Democrats actually reflect the variety of America, pretty much to the proportions of the variety of America. But the Republicans, no, it's all white. So, here we have this extraordinary situation where we have people who actually think that killing other people is the way to accomplish something. They've coalesced around a political ideology. They are cranked up and ginned up and freaked out and filled with fear every single day by right-wing hate radio and Fox so-called news, billionaire oligarch media. Our media is really downplaying the fact that this guy in his manifesto shouted out to Donald Trump and talked about it's all about white supremacy. They're saying he's anti-Muslim. He was specifically anti-immigrant. And it wasn't so much the religion as it was the race of these people that caused him to want to kill them. Although the religion was another part of it. I mean, you know, this whole Christian identity, white national thing, they tend to kind of come together right there at the, you know, at the Pat Robertson junction. And the FBI is telling us, you know, we've got a serious problem. And therefore, you know, we've got a serious problem. What are we going to do about this? Here we have Josh Campbell over at CNN. This is from today. The headline, FBI seeing uptick in domestic terror arrests. There was an uptick in U.S. domestic terror arrests, according to a senior FBI official who says that with nearly 25 arrests in the first quarter of this year, 2019 is going to be the highest arrest tempo quarters. In other words, the arrest tempo, the speed of the most arrests in the last few years related to domestic terrorism. The FBI has approximately 900 open domestic terror investigations going on right now. And then they note, you know, Christopher Paul Hassan, a Coast Guard lieutenant arrested last month on firearms and narcotics charges stemming from an FBI investigation that unearthed his plans for a widespread attack on prominent elected officials and several, you know, liberal television anchors. I mean, I got another threat in the mail yesterday, in the email yesterday. It's like this stuff is coming constantly. Robert Gregory Bowers, the guy who shot people at the Tree of Life Synagogue. Caesar Sayoc. Again, these guys are people who openly say that they support Donald Trump in addition to the whole white supremacist thing. These 4 guys in Southern California were arrested in October with, you know, traveling to political rallies across California where they violently attacked counter-protesters, journalists, and in one case a cop, which is what took them down. And one of these guys had been at the Unite the Right rally in Virginia where he had been charged with a crime. Joseph Digby, one of 2 remaining FBI fugitives and domestic terrorism suspects, linked to the FBI's long-running Operation Backfire, who was apprehended in Cuba this past summer and returned to the U.S. I mean, these are just examples of this. Donald Trump and his very fine people.